We're live. You're seeing Ryan's arms right now.
How's it going, everybody?
We have officially completed our 3 days? 4 days?
4 days.
It feels like 1.5 million days at NAMM. And eventually,
there we go.
as we recover, we are going to share with you kind of some of the things that we thought were pretty cool, some of the things that we came across, and we'll have a bunch of photos and video snippets that Ryan was awesome enough to take over the last 3 days.
You're getting the video on Instagram.
I think I would say right off the bat, my favorite thing thus far that I came across in terms of product at NAMM as a singer was an awesome developed wireless system for both instrument and vocalists that is the size of pretty much a lighter. It's like something the size of a lighter plugs into your microphone or your guitar, and the equivalent plugs directly into your mixer or whatever it is that you need. So no more clunky receiver box, router box, no more weird body pack that you have to hook on to whatever it is you're wearing on stage. That was like, to me, for what I do, I think that was probably the coolest thing that I saw. And it's super affordable. I think the going retail price on it was $2.99, and it was just a no-brainer. So I can't wait to get them. I'm getting them in double bar is the moral of that story.
So I really like, there's this cable, quarter-inch cable that they have now, where it can go 180 degrees back, 180 degrees forward, and it spins 360. And you can put it on your already existing cables. You can replace like the quarter-inch jack. We're clearly at an airport right now. You can hear all the announcements in the background. And they make it in a bunch of different sizes. So it's like 20, like there's a 20-foot, there's a 60-foot. Hey, what's up?
Hey, look, we're joined by the lady herself, Marcelle. She gets to share hers, but we'll let you finish first.
Yeah, so they make them in patch cables. They make them specifically just to replace the quarter-inch. They make them in 10-foot, and the guy was just like, hey, we'll make them for any size you want. You just call us. There are a lot more small, like you always think of like the Fenders, the Yamahas, the Gibsons, but there were a lot more small businesses, startups.
We connected really hard with a lot of small businesses that were product geared, but it was really cool to see how much the focus was on product for education purposes too. Some really cool there was some really cool drum technical development stuff. Stick management and efficiency. There's drum pad that was like this big for accuracy. That was pretty cool. There was also these awesome drums that were tunable. You could tune evenly all the way around the drum with one turn of one lug, and it was just pretty incredible and sounded phenomenal.
Yeah. What would be easier, I think, is if we just did a real brief synopsis of the 3 days we were there.
Well, so wait, hold on. You got your top item.
I guess
I got mine.
Marcelle didn't get hers.
Yeah. What's your top item? What was the one thing that you saw? My thing was she was with me when I saw the wireless hookup system. So unfortunately, I already claimed that one. Was there something?
The Raleigh Cube. Raleigh Cube for you
Oh.
songwriters and voice students. Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Yeah, what we might do is we might share some links to some of these, especially the ones from the smaller companies that are kicking off. But the Raleigh Cube was like a development in music technology, and essentially was great for tech songwriting. So you're looking at something that was about this big. Yeah, there you go. About mom's face big, and was extremely touch sensitive. So unlike a lot of synthesizing sound, it wasn't a fixed sound that you triggered through touch. It was very sensitive to
Did all the articulations.
All the
of
articulations.
Of the instruments you chose.
Very responsive. You were able to slide. So say you had plugged in, this was going to be your cello sound, you would be able to slide from pitch to pitch in a cello sound just by the motion of dragging your finger across this tech board. You would also be able to, as you're slipping from pitch to pitch, right, and doing that, you're able to increase in volume and attack as well, depending on how you come in and how hard you're pressing. So that was really cool, and we even thought for like...
Right, and you can like set it so that you're practicing a particular mode or a particular scale, so you can actually choose the instrument, pick the scale you're going to create from, and then have a party. Yeah. And it is so much fun. Oh
Wirelessly connects to your device. I can't remember for that one if it was just Apple compatible, but it was definitely compatible to Apple, if not to Android as well. And it just a wireless connection right through, and that was it. You could start with that. You could build off of it and make it something much bigger, but that was very cool.
So we're going to bring that as a toy to the shop.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I was the workshop lady. These guys went from booth to booth and schmoozed and picked up.
Is that what we call being highly overtired and running on caffeine?
Highly overtired, and I was...
Hi, where am I? My name's Kelsey Jacobson. What do you do?
I drool. Yeah, so I reconnected with some of my colleagues, and that was awesome. Pete Thompson, so great to see you. And a number of other people, but a lot about artist development and reclaiming authenticity.
Yeah, for the workshops.
Total big push for reconnecting musicians to musicians as people. Big emphasis on training the heart of the artist while they're still young, and taking away those obstacles that make us fearful about performing or make us afraid to take chances. A lot of talk about being wrong is really cool. Do it over and over and over again. Explore. Yeah. So I left feeling very affirmed and also very inspired, and I learned a bunch of millennial stuff that I like. Oh my God, I'm such a baby boomer.
I mean, so we have an interesting thing right here generationally. So we've got Ryan, who definitively falls in millennial category, right? I'm borderline millennial Gen X. I like sit right on that. And then we have my mother, who is baby boomer, right? So a lot of what they were talking about from an educational standpoint, and I feel like this doesn't carry out into, like, this is the part of NAMM that doesn't get talked about, because this is the stuff that people try to go to and then like pretend like they didn't have to learn about it. You know what I mean? Like, we're just good all the time and we know how to do business. So I would say that, you know, we went there and left like, oh snap, I just learned something new. And one of the biggest things for me, I think, as a weird almost connector generation, was the importance of the interaction of generations in a business that is all about connection and community and networking, and that what each generation is capable of, and their knowledge base and how unique that is. And if we could better fit together and work together in the workforce, rather than like, millennials always plugged in, can't figure out how to like show up to work on time, or can't figure out how to like get a task done in a focused way. And then millennials to baby boomers are like, oh my God, don't even let them touch the computer. Oh my God, everything has a virus and is broken. So I think if we can sort of figure out each other's attributes, I think the big argument there was that business becomes limitless.
Yes, and what I left with was, millennials, would you teach those baby boomers that disruption is a good thing? That, you know, get used to things changing immediately and quickly, and instead of being annoyed by it, adapt to it. And then I think what the message was for the millennials was, hey, the baby boomers carry wisdom. They can ground your disruption. They can actually anchor it and focus it in a forward motion. So become a team.
Yeah.
Thank God, because wow, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so just generally what a day in the life at NAMM was like, on Friday was the most definitive, yeah.
Coming to Instagram, Ryan.
So there was a performance at about 8 o'clock. There's a big breakfast, and they had like a solo guitar player with some like delay and did some percussive stuff, and that would be from like 8 to 8:30, and you'd eat in this big hall, and then somebody would give a speech from like 8:30 to 9:30 on the future of technology and how to integrate that in your business, and then it would be off to the next one, which is like general tax information and what the new tax law was. Then from like 11 to 2, it'd be like, okay, let's break up. Let's try to find some amp companies that look good, some guitar companies that look good, some pedal companies that look good, anything and everything to reach out. And you had said something, Kelsey, that I thought was very true. At some point, you have to realize that, like, if your name isn't, like, if you're not attached with Fender or Gibson or Yamaha, you're just like everybody else. Yeah. Like, there is so many double bars across there. So, like, the only difference between you and the double bar based in Illinois is that you're gonna be the person to talk to them. You're going to be the person to actually be honest and be like, hey, look, this is what we do, this is what we want, and like if it doesn't line up, cool, there's a bunch of other shops for everybody. And then after that, it'd be like, all right, we're going to another meeting, and then everybody would meet up, we'd try to get lunch, and then you'd go talk to more people, and then NAMM would close down around 6, and they'd always have like
after party would take over.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of performances,
ongoing music, ongoing concerts,
drum circles for hours,
circles, guitar circles. Yeah, I mean that was the average day. Yeah,
very long, a lot of noise, a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of noise.
We didn't even make it to the whole everything. We missed, like there were floors and buildings we didn't even get to.
So there were about 2,100 different
exhibitor booths.
Yeah, exhibitors. So it was between...
No, not 2,100, 21,000.
20,000, yeah. 21,000.
21,000.
And the Anaheim Convention Center is huge.
Multiple buildings, multiple floors.
Yeah, but generally they did a really good job. We're going to miss our flight to Peru. So generally they did a really good job of clumping stuff together.
Shout out to Sennheiser, by the way, for being the warmest and fuzziest company to receive us. We love you.
There were a few. The small booths were very... I mean, Sennheiser definitely took the award for, I think, like, big business welcome for the people we interacted with. But I would say a lot of the smaller and especially international companies were very, very open arms and like really happy to be there and really happy to just talk to anybody who was willing to sit with them and take in that their product was valuable, even if it didn't have like a Fender logo.
Yeah. There's some of the more boutique stuff just straight up didn't care. I remember talking to a couple of amp companies because we're always looking for something that's new and exciting that's going to be valuable to kids that are starting up or like kids that are gigging, anything. And I remember talking with some people, some amp companies. There's one from the Netherlands that like might work a little later, we'll see. That was really nice. And then another one, I remember just standing there for about 10 minutes, and then I remember talking to the guy, hi, and he's like, can I help you? I'm like, I'm Ryan, I'm looking like I'm from a music store in South Shore, I'm looking to connect. He's like, okay, well, here's our stuff. Yep. And then just like walking, it was like, okay, cool, yeah. So I definitely have a great impression of your stuff.
Well, I think so we talked a little bit about this on the podcast, which is the ability to talk to people and make connections with people. And literally NAMM in a nutshell is being able to talk to people and make connections with people. And I think it was interesting to see because, there's I think that was an invaluable experience. And if anyone has the opportunity to go even once in their lifetime, I would highly recommend it because you'll get to see things that you might not see anywhere else all in one place at your fingertips. But there's because it's so overwhelming, because it's so huge, I think there's a lot of people shut down, like people were overwhelmed or people were like, oh my gosh, I've been networking, being nice and talking to people and getting names and faces and cards for so long that they just can't do anymore. And so that last phase that comes in No, they just don't have any more to give, and us as well. I mean, we burnt out
So
sometimes
hard.
at like
So hard.
3:00 in the afternoon.
So
It's like, I'm
hard.
done. I can't.
Yeah.
And the fun thing was, you never knew who you were standing next to. Case in point.
Yeah.
Oh, best
And
story
Yeah.
ever.
line,
Best story ever.
Waiting at a food truck. A couple of guys come up behind me. We're yakking, talking about the weather. All of a sudden, somebody comes up and says, "Can I have a picture with you?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm supposed to know who this person is." Talking, another person comes up. "Hi, can I have a picture with you?" I look at the other guy and say, "I'm supposed to know who he is, aren't I?" And he's like, "Ha ha 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 ha." Well, I never did find out who he was. And
Until
Yeah.
she was like, you know what, let me just take a picture with you so I can send it to my family and coworkers and see who you are. And the guy was like, yeah, cool, all right, let's do it. So she sent us a picture, and it was
Fred Armisen he's a big comedian. He's the main character in Portlandia. He is a night show host. People can see me enough. They see me everywhere. They don't need.
he's like the musician's comedian, essentially, as well as being an actor.
yeah, he was getting handshaked, photo popped all the time.
Yeah, he was grabbing a bite to eat before he did his featured comedic presentation in the Ludwig booth.
Yeah.
And Mom's like, let's chill sometime. So that was cool.
It was fun. You never know who's next to you. Case in point.
Yeah, it was amazing, just seeing the people move, famous people walking by. I think my mother and I take the win for being completely uninformed about who's who and what's what. So I think we missed out on a lot of that, probably. But I know that Ryan got to see some pretty famous faces.
I met some people. I'm not sure who's familiar, but I met Rick Beato. He's a big music educator on YouTube. There's a guitar player, Andy Wood, who played in Rascal Flatts that I was able to bump into. Ben Eller, he played in a bunch of metal bands. So I got to meet a fair amount of people. And then
I stood 10 feet away from the drummer of 21 Pilots. That was cool, but I refused to wait in that line for that signature. So, next time.
Yeah,
Next time, John.
I was pretty close to the guitar player to Extreme, the old band from the 80s,
Yep.
Extreme, who now plays with Rihanna.
Oh,
Yeah.
logical.
Yeah, you got to make a living somewhat.
And then we saw the drummer from Spinal Tap.
Yeah,
Was it the drummer?
I thought it was.
that was the bass player.
Was it the bass player?
See, this is
Anyway, somebody
moral-
from Spinal Tap
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah, so
it was pretty big. And the nice thing is we made some great connections with educational businesses that offer things that supplement learning and practice for specific instruments or songwriting or collaborative work. And we're hoping to maybe incorporate some of that into the studio. And we've got some great small boutique networking merchandising options that I think we're going to be bringing into Double Bar as well. So we'll be figuring that out in the weeks to come.
yeah, it's a little early to say what exactly is going to pan. I think a lot of stuff that we had talked to, a lot of smaller places, were very interested, and we'll see what happens. You don't want to say something before it happens, but even at a ground level, it was awesome. And there's a lot of people too that if something doesn't happen in the next couple of weeks, it's a relationship that might build over the course of a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I talked with some people to do some collaborations. Talked with a heavy metal thrash singer who is looking to do some
workshops
with us.
Yep.
Who really does that scream technique really well. Yeah, it was good. But anyway, I'm gonna head back, and so I don't miss my flight. I'm gonna let these guys talk to you.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
think
all
we're
gonna
wind down. I think we're gonna. So if you want to learn more, check into not this week's podcast, but next week's podcast.
Week, and there'll be
we'll talk a little bit more about specific experiences we had. If you haven't heard of our podcast and like to check it out, it's Vaguely Music. It's available on Anchor, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public.
Pigeon Mail. Pigeon Mail. You can, if you go to a lake and you skip a couple stones, you'll find it.
But it has to be the right number of
Yeah.
skips in the right lake.
And
So
then,
good luck.
probably in the next week or two, there'll be, because I had my phone out, to take a bunch of photos, videos, and put it together. So in the next week or two, there'll be a whole big NAMM recap with photos up on Facebook and Instagram, and a whole recap on YouTube.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you hopefully in about T-minus 8 hours. And here's to a whole nother development of Double Bar.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your weekend.